Welcome to Retrained Search, the podcast where we lift the lid on what it's really like to work retained, discuss the stories we've gathered along the way, and give you all a peek behind the scenes of our amazing community and how they're getting ahead.
We were just talking. Oh, no, we're recording. I'm going to say it anyway. You can always clip it. We were just talking. I was saying to Ben, in 12 months' time, his neighbours were playing loud music. And I was saying in 12 months' time, all he will have to deal with is the noise of waves crashing into a beach, cervezas clinking, and women walking around on the beach with the boobs out.
So, yes, I must say you're sounding very husky, Jordan.
Husky.
You sounding very sound.
Yeah, and back to this the situation of dealing with women walking around with no tops on beaches in Spain.
yeah.
Me and Ben have complete opposite strategies of dealing with that issue whilst laying next to your wife. I go for the "isn't that disgusting" approach. Shocking that, isn't it? Shocking that they do that. Whereas Ben, just the hide in plain sight. Look at that, Claire.
Nice boobs over there.
Different folks, different strokes.
Seen that bottom? Have you seen those breasts? How does that go down with Claire, Ben? It's nice. It's a joint appreciation. Yeah.
The idea of starting to record the minute we walk in.
No one can hear you, Ben. I can hear you. We can hear you. Oh. So for those of you that can't hear Ben at the moment, Ben has just suggested that in the next episode, well, coming soon, will be producer Ben being heard. So you won't be able to see him, but you will be able to hear him, which will be a joy for you.
Well, it will, and I've always said he's
amusing.
got a face for radio.
What did he say? He hasn't been able to say what he was saying.
I said,
he's got the face of a
face for radio.
A face for radio. Yeah. Oh, that's yeah.
I'm joking, Ben. I'm joking.
I think you're a lovely looking man, Ben. There you go.
We sat next to his wife. Have a day off. I know you.
Have a day off. Is that what you just said? Okay. So I was just reminding ourselves of what we should be doing rather than talking about breasts and legs and Spanish women. We should be talking about what we've been up to. So what have we been up to? Well, we played a nice game of tennis, didn't we, last night, George?
I loved it. I loved
it.
tennis last night. I thought it was great. Whether you did?
I did. The only challenge, as I think I've mentioned before, perhaps not to this audience though, of playing tennis with you, is it doesn't matter what side you play on. The result is the same. If I'm playing against you, or anybody's playing against you, then it's 6-love to you. And if anybody's playing with you, then it's 6-love to you.
Yeah. You know what the moral of the story is then, don't you?
What's that?
Play with me, not against me.
Play with me, yeah. It is good practice to attempt to see the serve.
It's all about the fresh
and
air
occasionally
and
return
the enjoyment. Anyway.
And it's very good fun. And it was nice being driven around in a fancy Porsche that you had a lot of fun driving, didn't you, Jod?
I just heard the word Porsche. Sorry, you froze on me a second, but I got the gist of the story. Yeah.
Tell us the story about driving your dad's car.
Oh, do you want the story or the analogy?
I want exactly as you told it to me yesterday.
Right. So, I can't believe I'm saying this on a podcast. So what I'd said to Louise is I normally drive a 4x4, big car, lots of space. I'm 6'5", so I need the space. My parents have gone on holiday on a cruise with my grandparents for the past 2 weeks, and they needed a bigger car to be able to fit all the luggage into the car. So my dad said, I've got a great idea. I'm going to lend your car. You can have my car. It's all going to be perfect. Now, my dad has a very nice, granted, 2-seater Porsche sports car, which in theory sounds great. I spoke to my dad a few days ago and he said, how are you finding the car? Do you like it? And I said, well, I don't know how you do it, Dad. I don't know how you do this continuously every day, month after month. And the analogy I gave him was, I said, it's like getting a new girlfriend and the new girlfriend wants to have sex 6 times a day. And at first you're thinking, this is great. I'm getting loads of sex. And then after a week of it, I just don't want it anymore. I just want an early night and a cup of tea and a good night's sleep and a nice solid day at work. And that's very much how I feel about the car. At first, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And then a few days later, I just like, my wife will say, "Oh, we need milk. Can you nip to the shop?" And I'm just like, I don't want to go to the shop in that car. I'm done. And that's where I'm at with the car. So, yeah, I'm now abstaining from sex for the foreseeable. Thanks for making me bring that up on a podcast, Liv.
I know.
Appreciate it.
I thought you'd like that.
Thanks.
I thought you'd like that a lot.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about. We have, it's sunny here in the UK today, but we've been in sunnier climes, right, over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Where have we been, Liv?
We bloody have. We really have. We've been to Dubai, baby. Yes, we have. And it was so good.
Yeah.
So good. I floated around for like 2 or 3 days on like a little cloud of Dubai happiness. Not just because Dubai was awesome. I mean, we've got different opinions on how awesome. You've said that you'd be able to live there. It's not a place for me. We all know I like grass and chickens and mud and things like that, and you don't get much of those things.
No.
But because of what we were doing while we were there and who we were with, because we were with the mastermind crew.
We were.
And
what an
they'd
amazing
come
group
from
of people, right?
Oh, incredible. They'd come from Australia, from Africa, from Zimbabwe, from the UK, from the US. And it was incredible to have a group of people as nice and as cool and as humble and as authentic as they were around a table that are as good at what they do as they are in their different ways, in their different markets, and doing their thing, and being so generous and sharing how they're doing stuff. And some of the stuff that I learned through that, I mean, I wish I'd known when I was, running searches and search teams. But it was just incredible. Yeah. Like mind-blowing stuff. I'm just trying to think of a few things to share. One of the things that I think blew quite a few people's minds away was PeopleGPT. That was incredible.
And for people listening, that's kind of it's almost like a recruitment version of ChatGPT. Yeah, it was
very
really
special
and scary, all in equal measure.
And very scary. And the formulas, the prompts was incredible, and the way it's being used by our members for search work and interrogating data is quite unbelievable. A couple of little really, really simple things, like one of the ones I really liked was when you set a client meeting up, instead of just sending the invite for one meeting, set it up as a recurring quarterly meeting. And when they accept the invite, you've then got the next 3 client meetings in the diary. Like,
it's really clever.
I wish I'd thought of that.
Yeah, and those things are like always really insightful and massively frustrating all in equal measure, because you think, why have I not been doing that for the past 8 years?
I mean, down to the intricacies of search terms, right, and the way that you word what you're doing and how you're doing it, the way, leadership advisory and all the complexities around leadership assessment was mind-blowing and fascinating. And we've got behavioural psychologists in the room just because that's their background, not because we've put them there. That's just who's in the group. And so many little simple things too that what like little pieces came out of it for you that you were like, oh, I mean, I've probably stolen a couple of them there, but
there was so much. I mean, I'll come on to some specific things, but what generally every time we get together with the mastermind, what blows my mind is I always go into the room at the start of the week with like real imposter syndrome. Kind of thinking like, oh my God, these guys are so good. But actually, they're just such an amazing group of people. Look, from the end of it, what you see is that everyone's experiences kind of match up with each other. And even though someone's been doing this for 30 years, the person that's been doing it for 5 years has got new experience and a different perspective. And when you plug all of those things in with each other, the outcome is just absolutely insane. I would say for me, one of the biggest things, one of the things that I loved, and the reason I love it so much is because I know it's a challenge that so many of the people that we fortunately get to work with face, is when customers ask you to fast track a search. And often I've always encouraged people to say, just don't do it. Like it bites you on the backside every time you do it. The minute you fast track candidates, the minute you deliver candidates in any way other than a robust shortlist, you're asking for trouble. One of the mastermind members said, what we do in that instance is we say, yeah, of course we're going to fast track it. This is the risk with fast tracking it. So what we're going to do is concurrently, we're going to run a full search too. And that protects kind of everybody's interest whilst giving the client kind of what they want. I thought that was was genius. But they're just a few of the many things that
it's so good. I mean,
out.
The recording of the first day is just finished being edited. It's just being uploaded, by the way. And I've asked we've asked Charlie if she'll have a listen to it and pick out like the key hot topics. And every probably 20 minutes, half an hour, I go, oh my God, that's so good. And I say, that's what you're listening for. Like every time I say that, get that down, get it transcribed, exactly what they said, exactly how they said it, get the document that they share, because I love that the cable for the HDMI cable for the screen went around the table about, I don't know, 15 times a day. Like, pass me that. Let me just show you what I've been doing. Like constantly, all the time, people willing to share. And
you know,
and then you look at it and you're thinking, shit, that's so good.
Yeah, someone that's been in recruitment for a few years now as well, that's so refreshing to see that they're so willing to share with each other and they're so willing to help each other and make each other better in an industry where, unfortunately, it can be a bit dog eat dog, right? You know? So, yeah, it was amazing. And we got spotted, didn't we, in Dubai?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. We so did. Oh, I was well chuffed with that.
Yeah, we were.
We did. We were in. Go on, you tell the story.
Yeah,
sorry.
We were meeting someone that wanted to put a team through the course in the hotel we were staying in, and we had a coffee, had the meeting, and then me and Lou both kind of went and jumped on a team call with the rest of the team here at Retrained, and all of a sudden we had an email in the team inbox saying, "Hi Louise, I'm sure you don't know me, and this might sound a bit weird, but are you guys in Dubai? Because I think I might have just seen you and Jordan in the hotel lobby." And it was someone that's been watching our content for a while, and before we knew it, we were in another meeting with that said individual. So that was nice to see that the stuff we put out there is going far and wide.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome. And we met some other clients in Dubai as well too while we were there, and we had a bloody good time that ended up being a bit too wild. I'll put that out there. I think we've all decided. Yeah. Well, one of our team is decided she's not drinking again.
Yeah.
After that night, and now, I don't know about you, but I didn't have a drop of alcohol the next day for a couple of days. Actually, there might have been one on the journey home.
You don't need to worry about me. I'm well behaved. I'm the sensible
one. Been a bit careful. You are very sensible, actually. Well, apart from Sarah's wedding, which we were not sensible at all. Yeah, but it was a wild night. Let's say some of our members were a bit wilder than we were expecting. That's fair to say, isn't it?
Absolute party animals, a lot of them.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
What have you been helping people with?
Anyway, moving on. So, go on. What have we been helping people with? Well, actually, I did the collab call for you this morning, George, because you were driving back from mine. So I picked up the pitch coaching session and the collab call. And what have I been helping people with this morning? That's a good question. I've actually got the list of things that came up. So I was talking about how to move the opportunity from pitch to close. Have we talked about that here before? Proposals, don't send in proposals. I mean, that comes up so much.
Maybe briefly.
Yeah,
Listen, I think that's
we
a
have
message,
been
Lou, that
saying, yeah,
can never be shared too much.
never be said
So,
enough. If I say like once at the end of your pitch meeting, tell them what you're going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a proposal together. I'm going to cover everything we covered today, along with a commercial proposition, which I'm going to do something interesting with over and above what we've discussed today. It's going to be ready on Thursday. When are you free so I can walk you through it? And who else needs to be on that call so that I can answer their questions too? If I say that once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I don't know how many times I've said that in total in my life to clients and to people that I'm training, but it works. It will get you the next meeting. And instead of just sending that document and just wait and see if it comes back. So we went through that with someone that hadn't done that and was backtracking because they'd lost control of it because they emailed the proposal. We were also talking about phone number finding software. That we
up a
talked
lot
about
at
for
the
a
moment,
while
isn't it?
because some people have been having very good experience with Zoom Info, particularly in the US, but there was about how expensive it is. And yeah, some of our members were getting it for cheaper than others, and they were talking about how to negotiate a deal with Zoom Info and how Cognism was very good also, but better for UK Europe. So that's what I was helping people with. And the other thing, the other very interesting conversation we had this morning was, how do you know? You say when you talk through your proposition, once we're clear on the scope of the search, I'm going to cast a net over the talent pool. I'm going to systematically identify all of the candidates that look to meet that criteria, and then I'm going to approach every single one of them by every means that we possibly can to gain as much interest in the opportunity as possible. And then we go on to talk about how we do that and then what happens next and what happens next. And at the end of that process, you're going to be in a position where you're absolutely confident you're making your decision from all of the talent that's available to you in the market at this time. And he said, but how do you know? How do you know that you've got everybody? Have you definitely got everybody? Like, what if there's somebody that you've missed? And what if another CV goes in from another agency or something crops up that wasn't on LinkedIn, or he's only just emerged back from a different location or a different wherever he's been or she's been? And it's a really valid question, right? Because what had happened is his client had asked him that. And he wasn't certain, because he hasn't got to that bit in the training, of the answer. So we talked about that.
Yeah.
And then he's gone away happy and excited about the conversation he's going to have with his client.
Sounds like
I'm
it.
leaving it on a bit of cliffhanger because I'm not actually answering the question. But if I tell you what, here's a little hook for you. If you want to know the answer to that question, then head over to our website, go into the diary and pick a time, and we'll tell you the answer to that question. Is that all right? Can I do that? Producer Ben's nodding. He says, yes, that's fine. So that's what I've been doing. George, what about you? What have you been helping with people with this week?
Lots of things. I think probably the one thing I'd like to talk about is one of our members was having some problems with a customer on how to run the steering call. And part of the challenge that she'd faced is she was running a search. She's now identified, I think it was 350 candidates. She's like gone to the ends of the earth for this customer.
That's a lot.
To try and find
over and above
the right person. Yeah, absolutely. And the person just doesn't exist. There isn't somebody within the defined geography that is looking for a salary that falls within the salary range, that has the right skill set, the right amount of experience. It isn't happening. And her worry
that's ready
was,
to move.
what do I say to the client? They're going to be pissed off, right? And I just think it's interesting, and I think we've talked about this as well, Lou, in the past couple of weeks. There's a real mindset shift when people move from contingent to retained, and sometimes it happens really quickly, and sometimes it takes a little more time. But what I ended up realizing is when customers retain you, they're not buying the candidate. They're buying the service.
No.
And our job is to carry out a rigorous, a thorough, a robust process to deliver the intelligence and present all of the talent available to them in the market at that time. And if that perfect candidate doesn't exist, that's not your fault, right? Like, your job is not to pull rabbits out of hats or to manufacture people that don't exist. Your job is to carry out that process, to evidence it, and to be able to be transparent enough to show those workings to the customer so they know themselves that this person doesn't exist. We had this conversation. She was having a steering call with the client 30 minutes after we spoke. And I think the outcome was that the clients ended up taking 2 more junior people instead of 1 more senior person. And
that's awesome.
yeah, and I've been there myself, right? Where I've had steering calls in 2-3 hours.
Frightening situation to be in, isn't it?
Yeah, like,
it's so scary when you think that what you've got to do is produce the candidate and you haven't got that candidate. Like, it couldn't be worse, especially if they paid you a retainer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Agreed. Good.
But
I wanted to move on to
it always helps.
Some good news and sharing what's been happening behind the scenes. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
There we go. That's what's been happening this week. US prospects in London, given the verbal go-ahead, 2 exec director level positions at 28%. Now, I know that is a significant increase in his normal fee as well.
Huge. Yeah, huge.
Quantum leap forward. I also know that this is the biggest win for one of our members to date. This is the most senior because all of her work has been at much, much more junior levels. And that the whole strategy of the work we're doing together in the mastermind is to go up the value chain, and she's just won her first senior assignment.
Yeah, it's a great achievement.
And then Barry.
I love this.
It's so nice, this one, really, isn't it?
I really did.
He's vulnerable.
I think he's been a little hard on himself. I think he probably still would have his recruitment business if it wasn't for us. He needs to give himself a bit more credit. He's good at what he does, but the journey we've been on together, he's absolutely flying with it now. He is. He deserves everything.
He's blossoming, isn't he? How many was that I shared then? Oh yeah, there's another one. I don't know that I've fully read this one, actually. The time in which Louise posted this video early this morning, I was in a brief meeting. I first worked with a client some 5 years ago. I had a search on with the client, non-retained. I went back to the client mid-search when they changed the spec and persuaded them to retain me. Since that time, I've completed another project with them. And hopefully this one today, which will come as another multi-hire project. Oh, the program gave me more confidence to sell. Structure in which to do it and help me realise retained is a superior approach for your client. And it allows us all to deliver a better service. I wish I'd attended this program 10 years ago. That's exactly what people say, isn't it? Like, oh my God. Like, what? There's a guy that's just joined us recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, he found it from the podcast, right?
Was it? No way. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, he did.
And what happened? Like,
I think
was he looking at it a few years ago, isn't he?
Yeah, he was looking at it a few years ago, and for reference, this guy's like he's very experienced, right? He knows a lot already.
Isn't he fully retained already? Isn't he?
Yeah, fully retained already. Has worked for himself. Has been MD of some pretty big search firms. Like, he knows his stuff. And I think we said, he's going through the foundation course and then he's going to move into the mastery group. And I think, he said pretty early on, like, God, I wish I'd have done this sooner. Why did I wait so long? So we get that a lot. We get that a lot, don't we, Lynn?
Yeah, we do. So that's what's been happening behind the scenes. What do we have in terms of controversy to share? Have you seen any LinkedIn controversy? There's something I want to talk about. I probably shouldn't. It'd probably be quite naughty for me to talk about that. I want to talk about those videos that you were showing me. Was it this morning or was it last night? I can't remember. Of that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we can not say his name.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
Oh
his
my
name.
God. We won't say his name. But let's just say there are some bullets to be dodged. Let's put it that way, shall we? There are some bullets to be dodged out there with people saying that they can teach you how to win retained work. What's the best way of without? I think it's good for everybody to be playing to their strengths. Let's say that, and do your due diligence to make sure that that's the case. Because if it's cheap and it sounds like it's a quick fix to going from wherever your situation is right now to being a multimillionaire, then it probably isn't.
Too good to be true.
It probably isn't going to do that for you. And people that haven't actually had experience of selling retained work and working on a retained basis, quite significant experience, you probably won't be surprised to know they won't be able to teach you how to do it either. So, yeah, just dodge the bullets. Like I think it's pretty obvious. Hopefully, you can do your due diligence enough to be able to avoid them. But it does make me watch those videos and think, oh my God, I hope nobody's taken in by that, because it's bad. It's really bad, really bad.
Yeah.
Whether I should be saying that
I
or
think
not,
you
I
can
don't know.
normally tell with the depth of what's said, can't you? It's fluffy and brushed over. But if any of you,
so vet your trainer, whatever it's for, whatever the training is for. Do your due diligence, take references, talk to people that have worked with them, be forensic in your reference taking. And there's loads of people that we recommend, right? And we were talking with Dave Wolstenholme about this the other day. There's loads of people that we've worked with firsthand that we massively recommend. And people like general recruitment training, rookie recruitment training, Jeremy Snell, we love, we think is great, fabulous.
Awesome. Yeah.
People like Greg Simidian, Ally Research, brilliant. What he does, great. Lots of members have a great experience.
Dave Wolstenholme, personal branding, brand me
people
better.
like the Boolean searching. Sorry, say that again, George.
Dave, personal branding, Dave Wolstenholme, brand me better.
Dave Wolstenholme, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
All our
Gabby,
LinkedIn organic content. He helps us with all of it. Gabby, Preston, Vipers, Boolean searching, Tooled Up Raccoons, bloody awesome. But there are some to be avoided. So just shouts out to some of those that we really like, and just be careful and avoid the ones that are telling you that you can get rich quick. Okay, so that's our LinkedIn controversy a little bit.
Yes.
So now it's time to do our little minute on mindset, George. What have you got for us this week?
Well, I thought we had me and you both were on a sales call with a prospective member in the US yesterday, weren't we, Lou? And I just thought something he said was really interesting, and it highlights that when new members join us, doesn't really matter whether they join us, right? When people want to transition their business or their desk from contingent to retained, there are so many reasons to do it. Some people, they do it because they want to take over the world. They want 4 houses, 6 boats, 5 supercars, and they want to be multimillionaires. Some people do it because they're fed up of chasing the tail, working on positions that don't result in a fee, and they want to spend more time with the family. And some people do it like this individual, because he said there are loads of benefits that will come with this. Things like forecastable revenue, increased motivation in my team. But what I want is I just want to provide the best level of service to my clients that I possibly can. And I know that the contingent model ties my hands and it doesn't allow me to do that. So I suppose what I'm trying to get across is whatever your why to do this, there's no right or wrong on that piece. There are so many benefits, whatever the motivation is.
But it helps if you care. It really helps if you care about the service that you're delivering.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I agree.
The people who do best, like I mentioned earlier, our member who was now identified over 300 candidates, all of that is driven because they care about results and they care about providing a great service for the customer.
Yeah, but also it can be the devil's in the detail with retained with search, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you can very easily become unprofitable if you go too far.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people making the commitment, the overcommitment to projects, which means
Yeah.
it's unprofitable.
There's a
So
balance.
there's a fine line in the definition of the parameters of your project, of the agreement, and that's why you need all the little different pieces of it, because as bright and as capable as most of us are, that comes from experience and
Yeah.
knowing how to make sure the the devil is it doesn't cause you a problem. Like those details are solid and they're clear, and the boundaries and the parameters are clear, which means everyone can relax into a lovely relationship and a lovely project.
What a lovely
Right.
way to
Well,
finish it.
we'll finish by saying thanks for listening. There are a few of you listening to us, which we've discovered. We didn't expect you to. We weren't sure whether anybody was going to, but thank you for listening.
Yeah, I think I said
And
to Louise
do
the
we
other
need
day,
to?
now that one of our customers has told us that they listen to the podcast, we know that 50% of our listeners have now become members. So to the other one of you, feel free to join us.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. Nice to see you, George.
But you too.
Thank you,
Thanks,
producer Ben.